A larger picture of reality is unfolding, the illusory veil of physical existence melting as dot by dot we connect the infinitude of individual experience to the unity of Source. Synchronous events invade our awareness by stealth, planting intuitive haikus that link the truth of the cosmos to human understanding. The secret they all carry is the same. There are no coincidences, only reflections of our inner creations. Over 15 years ago, Braco began an extraordinary mission from Croatia across Europe. A mission he had never envisioned himself a part of. Sharing an unexplainable gift he never believed he possessed.
Up until about 15 years ago, life was pretty normal for Braco. He had a normal childhood. He loved to hang out with his dad. He took long walks in the park. He went to school all the way through, got his master's degree. Everything changed when he met Ivica. One day, Braco's mother came home and said that she was going to this healer, that her migraines had gotten so bad that she was going to go to this healer. And of course, Braco was really very, very upset. And he said, "Why are you throwing your money away at this gypsy healer?" She said, "I need to get better." And he said, "Well, I'll go with you. I'll protect you." So Braco went to Ivica's with his mother to protect her. And he ended up being fascinated by this man. But at one point, Ivica put his head out from behind the screen and said, "You!" And he points to Braco. You don't believe in me. Get out of here. What are you doing here? Get out of here." And Braco was like, "What? What is this?" He was kind of intrigued by this man who was so cranky and called him out. So he stayed. And finally, at the very end of the day, Ivica calls Braco to come sit down in front of him. And he starts telling Braco things about his life, about Braco's life, that Braco had never told anyone. Not even his parents knew these private details about him. And Braco was so fascinated that he asked Ivica to give him all the books he'd written. Ivica had written many, many books, and Braco wanted them all. And the next day he went back to Ivica's, and the next day, and the next day, and the next day. It became so important to him that he stopped going to work altogether. And it worried his parents terribly, particularly his father, that this man that Braco had gone ultimately to protect his mother from turned out to be his mentor. And it wasn't that Ivica gave him anything special. He didn't teach him. He wasn't showing him how to heal people. Braco merely sat by him while Ivica did his work, while he touched people, while he looked at their pictures, while he read their futures or told them things about their past. And Braco just sat there quietly. It wasn't until after Ivica's passing, a very traumatic story about his death, when Braco returned back to Sedona, where there was a crowd assembled outside and asking Braco who would follow, who would take care of them now that Ivica was gone. And Braco said he didn't know. And they said, you can do it. And he said, "I'm not a healer, I don't know anything." And they said, no. This one woman stepped forward. She said, "I've had a vision. I've seen it. You'll be the one next to help us heal."
The presence of Braco in our lives is not mere coincidence, or the smile of providence on the chaos of existence. Braco stands before us, a reflection of our dreaming, his embodiment of victory, of belief and possibility, a direct encounter with our collective psychic creation. His presence is evidence of our inner magnificence.
I've seen a lot of healers. I'm in the healing profession myself, and he's one of a kind, as in my experience, and very powerful. And I'm really happy to drive here, to be here. I think I'm looking forward when he's coming back, because I'm going to come back. I'm going to bring every friend I can to come experience this. He's got a great gift.
Right when he walked in the room, I immediately cried. I mean, immediately, joy, and then I felt my heart, felt warmth in my heart, and I just felt an energetic massage. I don't know how to explain it. I don't normally feel things that quick. I mean, I do feel things, but not usually when it's, you know, so many people. I'm skeptical, but this was very pure. And then I immediately saw the white aura around his body, and I would see it move from time to time, like as a whole, but it stayed very close to his body. But it was very white, and I thought, are my eyes playing tricks on me? And I thought, no. And I felt a sense of, you know, very strong energy.
And during the gaze, I saw his aura. I saw Braco's aura, which was really, really beautiful. And I saw a light emanating from his head and his shoulders and his arms and his eyes, coming from his eyes.
And when he came in, about within 2 minutes after he's standing there, I saw an interdimensional being behind him, which was an angel. And then the angel started coming through him, and his face changed, and everything that he was wearing went completely white. His pants, his shoes, everything. And it looked like the being was probably around 12 feet high behind him. And it was a very unbelievable experience. I feel very privileged to be able to be here.
As soon as I looked in his direction and focused on him, he disappeared, and the only thing that was left was just a fuzzy white impression, not even so much an outline, but just a white image of where he was standing, because he did disappear to me. So the other thing that was wonderful was the colors in the room. I'm visual, so I see that, and the whole ceiling had a gold specks and sort of a gold shapes, sacred geometry kind of shapes in the top of the ceiling, just kind of floating around.
I just suffered a major heart attack on May 3rd, and I had subsequently I had more heart attacks after that. And they said, you need to come and check him out. He can actually heal you. And I laughed. I says, come on, this is serious. I've had a heart attack, and major heart attack. And they said, no, please do us the favor and come check it out. So I came, and at that time I felt a little humorous, and I joked with them a little bit. I said, some people believe anything. And I was kind of joking around, but I was able to be in the third row, dead center. And so when Braco came out, he stood there on the stage, and he had a fixed stare looking at everyone, and I was just trying not to kind of like giggle. I thought it was kind of hilarious. And then when he fixed on me, I felt tingly for my whole body, like an adrenaline rush. And I literally saw, I could describe it as a glowing color around him, almost like a gold or something glowing around him. And I said, wow. And the sparkling is all around him. This like gold sparkling around him. And I said, wow. And then he'd start turning the other way, and I was like, I felt like really a goodness over me. Something felt calming, very calm. I didn't feel comical anymore. I didn't feel like, oh, this is a joke. I said, wow, this is amazing. I was just so impressed with the goldness around him. And then also, I looked around the room, and it was all over the room, kind of like a sparkling goldness all over the room. I said, wow, it's amazing. This guy has some kind of gift.
On the last one, I could see more clearly than the other times, just light emanating from his body, a lot from his head, and as the energy in the room grew, I could see it on various other persons as well. Just light just popping up from people, just popping up like it's saying, hello, I'm out here. And that was wild because I don't, usually see auras. I mean, I have before, but it's, I guess, just dependent on the amount of energy, at the time and the people that are around. But there was definitely some very kind, pure, awesome energy in the room.
It's amazing. And the light you see around him when he comes out, I watch his countenance change, and the whole room, you get this pale yellow, I get this pale yellow aura, and then I watch the whole room turn gold.
When he walked out the first time, I felt like a massive, golden pink, blast hit me right in the solar plexus. But it was a perfectly nice blend of gold and pink together. And it was just really cool. And the last time, the third time, when I was looking at him and I closed my eyes, he became just a total black silhouette, and around about this far out of his body, it looked like it was like golden electricity, like a Carillion photography type picture. Not aura photography, but like Carillion photography is what it looked like. And just a total black silhouette of him with the energy just going around him. And I thought it was pretty cool.
I've just witnessed this man's gazing. It's like the best meditation ever. And his head, I saw bounce up and down, side to side, and it was just like pure light. It's like gazing at the moon or the sun. And then I saw sunlight come down to his head, and I just feel more relaxed than ever before. It's a really amazing experience.
But I've had an interesting experience of when he comes out, he goes completely out of focus. At first I thought something was happening to my vision because I could maybe see his eyes at first, and then I can just see that there's this head, and then I can see just a diffuse gold aura around him, but I'm unable to focus my eyes on anything. And that's been about the last 4 gazings, that during the gazing, my eyeballs will not focus. And then as soon as it's over, everything comes back into focus.
There are times that I could not focus. He's like our focus. And then when he look at my direction and he come back into focus like a lens, and then he go back out of focus again.
The most incredible thing that happened to me today was one of the sessions. I could no longer see him, although I was looking at him in his direction. My eyes were going zigzag back and forth, just vigorously. And it did it the entire time. And I was not really seeing him anymore, even though my face was still looking at where his eyes were. I never saw it. I never saw his eyes after the initial time that he came out.
First of all, as he was walking by me, I felt very impressed with his humbleness. And I thought, this guy is genuine. He's not charging big bucks. It's not about that. This guy is just here doing the work that God gave him. This guy's amazing. He's an ambassador of love and light. I could just feel the light radiating off his body.
I'm very, very picky with where I go. Sedona's kind of a circus sometimes, and I'm very particular, and I was so drawn to this. The gaze with him goes to such a deep, ancient, universal place. It's evidence of the divine for me.
Second time, I felt a really strong sense of love.
I've never felt anything like it in my life. And just that in and of itself, is a miracle of bringing all these people together and having this, it's like total love in there.
Braco doesn't promote a doctrine or an organization. He's not interested in being anyone's guru. In fact, he doesn't even engage in conversations about the mystical. He would never advocate one spiritual practice over another, but rather would encourage people to spend time in the places they feel the strongest spiritual connection, whether that's in a church or listening to music, or just sitting quietly by the ocean. Braco doesn't advertise. He doesn't give interviews. And he's never accepted a single penny from anyone seeking his help. He's a normal person with a family and friends. He loves to play. He loves ice cream. And he loves to be out in nature.
Braco's healing energy goes out in so many different ways. So many people have experienced his healing energy by standing before him, and they've been doing this for years, 15 years in Croatia and all over Europe and the Balkans. And this energy has healed physical ailments and emotional ailments and spiritual ailments and relationships, and you just don't ever know what it's going to do.
My mother has had breast cancer for a long time. She's had it. She's had 2 big lumps. I don't know if they're both under one arm or one under one arm and another under another arm, but it was breast cancer, and she's being treated for it. She can't have any of the traditional therapy because she's old, and so she has to take pills, and that's all she could do. And it was progressing, whatever. She called me today. She had just gotten back from the doctor, and there is no sign of any cancer anywhere. I don't know, I don't understand, I don't even really care that much. It's just, I'm overwhelmed, I don't know what to do about it. And I'm not going to do anything about it, I'm just going to be happy.
I walked by the bookstore and saw Braco's picture and just stopped and stared at the picture. My husband walked up and said, "What are you doing?" And I said, "I'm looking at this man." And he said, "What is gazing?" And I said, "I don't know, but I'm supposed to go to that." And it was in an hour. And so I went to the first gazing, and I had one more day in Hawaii, and then went again the next morning at 11. But what happened for me is I had been suffering from insomnia for 10 years. And since that time, I've slept well, every night without any kind of sleep aid.
Before coming to see him yesterday and today, I'm on blood thinners, I'm on not only blood thinner, but cholesterol reducing and blood pressure lowering medication that I'm so weak and fragile. I mean, they have to literally help me walk yesterday. And right now, I feel like I never had a heart attack. I feel like I never had a heart attack. My doctor is going to be in shock, not only because of my heart, but I have what's called trigger finger. And I've had cortisone shots 3 times to correct it. And now they told me I have to have surgery because that's the only way they're going to fix it. And I said, okay, so I'm planning on having surgery for my trigger finger. Well, I can't have it now because I'm on blood thinner with my heart problem, so I have to wait a long time. So I said, oh, I got to suffer with this for over a year. I have no trigger finger. It's completely gone. And I suffer from a history of asthma. I'm breathing good. So I'm blessed. And I'm not too religious and believe in things too much, but it's changing my whole attitude.
I brought pictures with me, and my mum, actually several people, but my mum included, who lives in England, who for the last 8 years has been having chemo for lymphoma. And she had tumors and a lot going on. So I come from a very strong medical family. Western medical. My dad was a doctor, and siblings are all, there's a lot of us. Oh, the other thing is I told her that I was coming. And yeah, well, exactly. The email that I sent to her, she was kind of speechless. It was just, she ignored it actually. She kind of didn't comment. Yeah, she was, because she just didn't respond to the email or anything. But when we got back, it must have been about 2 or 3 weeks after we got back, maybe longer, maybe a little bit longer, she had a big meeting of where she was at with her treatments. And she's 86 or 87. And she was told she no longer needs chemo. And the rest, although the tumor is still there, the rest of her body is clear.
I don't hear from my ears. I have a small amount of one-on-one capability, but primarily it's either brain, eyes, bone conduction, or just sheer determination. And yesterday was my first day, and I don't hear in a group setting. I don't hear, as Jane was speaking with the microphone, it becomes distorted. So I just sat back and let it rush over me and be what it is. And at one point, I put my headphones on to protect my ears from some of the sound and the static and overload on the nerves. And the film came down about the people in Hawaii, and one woman was speaking, and as she was speaking and telling her story to the interviewer, I noticed that I could hear her voice clear even with the headphones on. It sounded normal, what I remember voices to sound like. I went, well, this is interesting. So let's give it a test, and I took off my headphones, and it was the woman in Hawaii who was talking about her hearing loss, which I believe was stroke-induced, and how she regained a good part or most of her hearing in her session with Braco.
It's not as clear as my right ear, but I could hear her.
And as I was listening, I was very careful that I would just sit back and experience and not push it, not make anything out of it. But I did feel an enthusiasm of I'm hearing each word in her sentence. I'm not trying to put it together with my brain. I'm sitting back and receiving what this woman is saying, and it's no surprise to me that it is the woman that lost her hearing.
Vitsa was well known as a healer, and he was also well known as a prophet. And he had prophesied that someone would come along who would have greater healing powers than he. And when he met Braco, he recognized that he was the one that he had been waiting for quite some time. He eventually told many people that Braco would be the healer, and that Braco would go to the New World. And the New World to them at that point was America. And Braco won't call himself a healer, but Ivica had told him that someday the crowds would be so numerous that he would not be able to see the end of the line. And now Braco sees up to 10,000 people a day.
He brings it through the silence and offers it freely to everyone that dares to hope. It's a gift of transformation from the unseen. Its quiet presence a rush of calm, a whisper of peace, a bridge from where we are to where we want to be.
My good friend John Donnelly, he knew I was very sick, and he said that he wanted me to come to LA, that this person is going to help me. He guaranteed me that. And so on Monday, after my doctor told me to go to bed and he was going to make arrangements for me to have a morphine drip and say goodbye to my children, John Donnelly got me a ticket and paid for every session in the hotels and made sure that I come. He said, God is going to give you victory. And I got victory. Well, with the first gazing that's when I felt hope. I was hopeless. I was just, I didn't know what to expect. So I didn't see no lights, and I didn't see no halo like everybody else. But I felt hope, and I wasn't hopeful for the last 3 years. I've been tormented. And I said I was nobody, but when I came here, I felt like I was somebody, that God was going to make me better. And he did, through this young man. And I knew I was in the right place because everyone told me not to come because I was going to die here in LA without my family. So the next session, I went to every section. Each section, I got stronger and stronger. I never brought my wheelchair. It's in my rooms today.
Do you usually use the wheelchair?
I use the wheelchair every day.
And you just walked over here to Sedona?
Yeah, because I've had 3 strokes and 30 surgeries and 15 years of chemo.
And you're walking around today for the first time without using the wheelchair in a while?
Yeah, yesterday was the first day. Yeah, and that's because of the energy I got from this young man. Yeah, I was getting ready. I had wrote my obituary and said goodbye to my children. And so I tore it up last night because I'm going to enjoy my children. And so I got hope, I got peace. I never had peace before because I've been sick so long. And then the next section I went to, I began to know that I was going to be all right. And I know that when I go back home, I am going to be healing other folks.
1 week after our Los Angeles event, I got this text. Great news. I just spoke with Michelle Kearney, and she received the MRI report. Her brain tumor had shrunk more than 80%. The doctors are totally amazed. Michelle attributes the miracle to Braco.
I feel great.
Oh, you guys gonna interview me again?
We're gonna interview you right now.
I would have dressed up.
You look gorgeous. What are you talking about? I mean, you know what's so fun is to see you with so much energy right now, because you had good energy then as the days went on, but you're like a whole nother woman right now.
Yeah, I was very high then.
You had that morphine that was going on, yeah. And now no more morphine?
Well, it did. You know what happened? It's not working. It's just going through my system and it's not working, so thank God.
So Michelle, since I last saw you, in Los Angeles, you've had a big shift and change. First of all, when you were in LA, you were talking about how big your brain tumor was. So tell me what it was then, and tell me what it is now.
It was the size of a grapefruit then.
So this big?
That big, size of a grapefruit, a big grapefruit. And now Dr. Nair says he can't find it. There's nothing. It used to be a little piece there, but it's nothing now.
So right after it happened, I got a text that it got smaller, and then?
He said he cannot see anything.
It's completely gone.
Well, he did say that he saw that I was a genius.
You're a genius? Yeah, we know that's true. Absolutely. You got yourself all the way to LA, and now you're all better.
Yeah, God, that was a God-sent trip.
Yeah, amazing. So amazing. So you're feeling good?
Yeah, I'm feeling better. I was a little nervous earlier, but I'm getting calm now.
Are you nervous about being on camera?
I do have a shy bone.
But you look beautiful. Well, I'm shy too, so two shy girls, we can talk together, right?
And you do not have a shy bone in your body.
I do. I was super, super, super shy as a kid. I could never talk to anybody.
Well, you talked a lot in L.A.
Yeah, I did talk way too much. But I want to hear more about you. So just tell me how you're doing, what the doctors are saying.
Well, I went to my oncologist cancer doctor, and he did an MRI, and he did a CAT scan. He had to do another, because he didn't believe the MRI. He compared it to last year. And so he couldn't find anything. And so he said, not only is it not small, we do not see the tumor, and then the blood tests indicate that there's no tumor anymore.
Beautiful. Ah, so glad. So glad. And so you feel that your time with Braco was helpful for that, huh?
Well, when I came to LA, I was at the end of my rope. And so I really didn't have another choice. And so I took a really big chance coming out here by myself sick. And so I knew that God was going to do something for me. And so he sent me, to all you guys. And then I met him. And we had a connection. And it changed my life. It really did change my life.
Yeah, amazing.
And then I think about how awesome God is. That he allowed me, I supposed to have been dead, I've been on hospice twice. And so he allowed me, I'm going to see my 50th birthday. Don't forget my gift.
And this is my friend Michelle Kearney, who came out to visit me in California. And she's standing in front of the house, and look at her magnificent health, and smiling. Hello, Michelle.
Hello, John.
All right. Look at her robust health since she came from California, so we can show that to all of her California friends. And there is Michelle.
The linear chronology of intellect can scarcely comprehend the boundless, interdimensional spontaneity of knowing, entertained by the facile intuition. The mind struggles to understand what the heart long ago accepted as fact.
I went through a real severe surgery in 2007. I went into Cedars-Sinai Hospital for a colonoscopy, and it turned out I had a huge mass in my intestinal wall. And what happened was I had to have surgery immediately, and it was an 8-hour surgery. I died on the operating table. I came back to life. Like a couple days later, I had a tremendous fever, and I went into the restroom to throw some water on my face to cool down, and my intestines fell out on the floor. Things weren't looking good. They didn't think I would survive at all. No one has ever survived necrotic fasciitis when it's midline in their body, and I'm the only person to have survived that. And they had a lot of doctors come in, and it's well documented. And they told my wife he'll never walk again. He's going to be in a wheelchair the rest of his life. And I've had very limited movement. I haven't been able, like I said, I haven't been able to walk more than a block. This is the first time I've ever been, I've been to a gazing. I didn't know what it was about. My mother-in-law just said, I think it would be a great thing to come today to witness this. She'd heard about him, and my wife had been online with Braco, and she said, let's go. And so we rushed out of the house, and I forgot my wheelchair and my walker because we didn't have time, and we wanted to get here. And I thought, well, I can walk maybe half a block, and I can stand for maybe 2 minutes. When I came here, I was doubting somewhat. I have a tendency, because I'm a teacher, an educator, and I tend to question things. But I have strong faith. I'm a very spiritual being. I see God all around us. God is all with all of us and with each of us. And I was wondering what the experience would be like. When the gazing was over, the gentleman said, well, you can get back to your car this way, and there were some stairs. And normally for me to get up some stairs, I need to hang on the wall, I need to whatever, to crawl up the stairs practically. And I just walked up the stairs and walked out. And I was outside, I'm walking. And my wife said, you're passing me. That doesn't happen. And I mean, I've been standing here for over like 15 minutes.
How long is it?
And I haven't done that in years. It was just so profound what's occurred today. And it's truly a miracle. This is a miracle. And I'm really touched by it, and I feel so blessed.
I brought a couple of pictures with me when I came, and I brought Leslie's picture, and I brought my son's picture, and another friend, Leslie, has multiple sclerosis. She's been in a wheelchair for over 20 years, 25 years maybe. I brought her picture, and she knew I was going to do this.
This is to the first game
in April, And I did the 115 and 215 as I did today. Well, I called her between the two, and I said, how are you? And she said, I'm so buzzed. And we just talked. Well, on the way home, we stopped down in Orange County, and I called her, and I said, Les, how are you doing? And she said, Tracy, I put my braces on, which she uses generally to get from her chair to the tub or from her chair to the bathroom. Yeah. And she said, I kept them on, and I walked. I walked all around the apartment for 20 minutes. She has been walking a little bit every day since then. And I was so pleased for Leslie, because 2 years ago, a year and a half ago, a group of us got the message. We're all healers, alternative healers, and work in this arena. Got the message that she would be walking within 2 years, and she said, I don't know how, because the myelin structure's gone. And I said, it's going to come back. And she's walking. I brought my son and my two nephews' pictures that time, and I have seen beautiful changes in their lives since then. So today I brought all my kids, all my, you know, they're not my kids, but they're really good close friends, and some of them are young enough to be my daughters.
Right.
And I brought their pictures because I wanted to see the healing in their lives. And while I was in there this time, I felt the energy shift the first time. Today, at the 2:15, I had a retinal hemorrhage 4 years ago and had a tumor removed from behind my left eye. And in the last few weeks, I've been getting this pain and this feeling, and of course the fear. And when I was in there today, I felt this, almost before he came in, this heaviness come into my brain, and I was like, okay, what's going on? And when he came out, everything started to itch, almost an internal itching, and there was, for me, an audible pop. And then this eye watered and continued to water, and I felt all of that pressure leave. I felt everything leave. I still have all this warmth down the left side of my face. And I itched all the way down to my collarbones. And I knew, I can still feel the itching. I know that whatever had started to reoccur left. I know it. My vision has changed. I took my glasses off. I haven't put them back on. I can see clearly through the left eye without glasses.
Most of my life I have believed and dedicated to God. I played music and so on. I'm a pianist and trumpet player and organist, but mostly now is a piano. And it seemed like in the last 2 years I had a fall. And I have pinched nerves in my back, which the nerves are going down my legs and down this arm. And then this one I did a double impacted fracture. And the doctor left town and they never said it. So that's what I've been living with, but I'm still serving God. I haven't stopped playing because my fingers are moving. So today when I was there and Braco came in, it seemed like I felt the presence. And then I saw God. And I felt his hands were outreached. And he said, there's nothing too hard for me. And I just feel him throughout my body. And I'm believing for the full miracle on this wrist, because I know he can do it.
Well, my girlfriend has friends in Hawaii who had seen him many times in Hawaii and all of a sudden was healed, and would bring, and had brought several of his friends with him. The same thing. I mean, people that had like all of these things that were healed. And, you know, I mean, I've been in pain for a long time, and my husband has Parkinson's, and, you know, kind of things that, you know, we're kind of at the end of the rope here about traditional medicine and what to do. And it's not that I don't believe in things like this, but I am kind of pragmatic and a realist, you know, and it's like, okay, well, why not? So we came. I got up this morning, yesterday morning, to come, and he said, where are you going? And I said, well, we're going to see a gazer / healer who does not call himself a healer. Oh, great, he says. And I said, well, it's okay. And I said, I'm going to bring your picture. I said, because he can do it through pictures as well. And I said, you know, I just had surgery, and as a result of an issue with that, I have this, you know, pain in my back, my lower back, my hip, my knee. It was a nightmare dealing with traditional medicine on it, and I may end up having to do it again anyway, but as an aside, I'm bringing your picture. Oh, he said, you know what, leave me out of this, would you? And I said, Brian, it's just your picture, it's no big deal. And by the time I got home last night, it was late. He had left for the night. He's a drummer, so he was out drumming. And I was in bed and asleep by the time he got home. But just as an aside, the testimony I'm giving today is about him, but for me, I should have been on my knees in pain by the time I got home last night, and I wasn't. And I still had pain, but it was so minimized. But that has happened to me before, you know, where, you know, I would maybe not be in too much pain one day and think, oh, wow, I'm going to be cured, you know, and then it comes back with a vengeance the next day. So that was me. So I get home last night, I'm in bed, he's out. This morning, gets up, and he has Parkinson's, as I say, and for the last about year and a half, one of the symptoms has been his feet clawing. Clawing is basically curling up on the sides, so that, and it's so painful. I mean, it's like Charlie horses of your feet, both feet. He can't walk. He has to just sit for an hour, pretty much. I mean, it's so incredibly painful. So anyway, gets up this morning, he said, "How was it?" And I said, "Well, you know, it was good." And he said, "Well, how is your pain?" And I said, "Well, you know, it's minimized this morning." And I said, "You know, I just don't know. You know, I don't know if it's for real. I mean, I just don't know. But I can tell you, I feel better than I did." So he said, "Okay." So he hops in the shower and he comes out, and I thought to myself, "Oh," I said, "Brian, how are your feet this morning?" And he said, "You know, my feet didn't claw this morning, and I don't know why." I mean, I'm like, I said, "I know why." And he said, "Why?" And I said, "Because I channeled this through him for this to happen." I said, "You know, I didn't want to ask that your Parkinson's be taken away because that," I'm gonna cry, "because that's kind of a dramatic thing." I said, "But you know, if all you can do is, you know, stop the clawing, that would be incredible." So he went out to do some errands, and he called me and he said, "I can't believe that my feet did not claw today." And I said, "I know, it's amazing." I mean, it's been over a year, and if it was like one day maybe that they didn't claw, I would think, well, you know, it's a fluke. You know, never, not one day since they've started clawing have they not clawed. I mean, it was, I don't know, it's amazing. It's amazing because as much as I don't disbelieve anything, I really don't, but nothing has ever shown itself to me before where I can say, "Oh, it was a miracle." I mean, you know, "Oh my God, I was cured," or "I was this," or "it was that," no matter what it is. But I'm floored. I'm floored. I'm just like, I'm amazed.
Braco isn't interested in knowing what science says about the energy, but science is very interested in Braco. Braco has submitted to various tests designed to identify and calibrate the energy he conveys. Like Braco, most people are indifferent to what the energy is or how it works. They're more interested in its apparent ability to be a catalyst to transform lives.
Braco has been measured in many scientific ways, and he's actually won healing awards and all sorts of things.
So today, what we're going to do is we're going to take a voice analysis of Braco's harmonics, and we're going to run it through this supercomputer. And we're going to have the supercomputer do a little bit of analysis of that and send us back a plethora of data about how the energy is distributed. All right, let me make sure that I got that. Yep, okay. All right, so here we have recorded Braco's voice, and I'm going to save that, and then I'm going to log on to the supercomputer. Okay, so now we have the whole session loaded here, and we have a number of different ways of looking at his voice and listening to his voice. And we start by just reading out some of these numbers down here. There's 621 units of energy, which is above normal. There's usually maybe 350, 400 units of energy. The first thing I do with all the numbers is I turn them into this device here that we call a porticle. And this porticle, each one of those pixels that you see there is one of the frequencies out of his voice. And then a person with a porticle like this would be easily able to move between the different dimensions without getting blocked off in any kind of way.
My experience with the voice of Braco is that it is the imprint of the energy field of the divine.
The growth of spirit, the maturation of consciousness, does not occur by the uncontainable expansion of fission, but rather by the elegant coalescence of fusion. As Braco's journey expands into America, from Hawaii to Sedona, Los Angeles, and San Francisco, he draws together the threads of the ancient energies, weaving them with the present, connecting them to the future.
The opportunity came up to go back to Hawaii. So I said, well, you know, I'm gonna go. And I was very leery of going because my mother, oh, I'm gonna start crying. My mother was very, very sick. She's 76, and she had bronchitis. She has an enlarged heart, and her pacemaker quit working. And so I was really like, should I go? Should I not go? So I was convinced that I had to go and just try it. And so the day before I went, I did a digital photo of her, and I went to 4 gazing sessions a day for 4 days, and I held her picture up. And now, before I left, she could not walk from me to you without, you know, again, her pacemaker quit working, and I didn't think she was going to live. So when I got home, I walked into the house, and she's vacuuming, and she goes and she does dishes, and she's singing, and I'm like, explain, you know? And she goes, well, there may just be something to this Braco. So 2 days later, she ended up getting a doctor's checkup, and they said, everything's fine. I mean, your pacemaker's working fine. You don't have bronchitis.
I said a prayer that I would reconnect with the love of my life. And that happened yesterday.
Once I had committed to the fact that I was going to come here, everything started happening. Massive things started happening in my life. Everything, there was nothing that I could touch that didn't turn to gold.
My life has always been very good, but it's just that now it's absolutely centered. There's focus. Everybody around me, everybody in my life has had healings.
I'm just floating right now, and thank God somebody else is driving. I almost could believe I could float out of here.
Some kind of shifts have been happening now, big, where I just sort of started making decisions, and there was like a strength and a clarity, and the clarity is so stunning.
There's people in this folder from 3 countries whom I know are going to be healed. The first gazing session I was in, within the first 5 seconds, it was done. That's how it is. That's how, this is how it is now. It's way beyond any limitation, language or whatever.
The awareness that continues, once you've made the connection, you know, it's an ongoing awareness because he's a conduit of the source energy that's always aware. So the love and the kindness continues.
Also at one point, it dawned on me what I'm seeing is a divine light coming through his eye, looking at the divine, the divinity in all of us.
When I tune into his energy, I tune into someone who's got a huge funnel of energy coming down through him as an instrument.
What Braco does is he brings the light back from his eyes to your eyes and back to him. So it is a circle. And so when he looked at me, his head disappeared into the light.
You know, energetically, he's holding the space for the pure divine light to come in through him and to be shined out, probably through his voice, through every cell in his body, and through his look. And when he looks, it's like this laser of light comes right through the room. And it's just, everybody's awash with the pure divine light. And in that light, all is possible. It's like the 0 point energy. You know, it's that pure God essence.
He's a great gift to the planet, there's no question about it.
I think the miracles are just incredible. You have to go and experience this. The world is going to change.